Namaste and welcome to Under My Skin, my podcast show. Today I'm honored and delighted to have with me Dr. Shveta. She is an Ayurvedic doctor, the only one in Hong Kong. And Dr. Shveta, she specializes in Nadi Pariksha and Prakriti Nishchay, which is the pulse reading. And Dr. Shveta is today going to talk on specifically women's health issues, things like endometriosis, early menopause, puberty, menstruation, and endometriosis, etc. So I'm really excited to be spending this time with you and delving deeper into Ayurvedic perspectives on women's health issues. So welcome.
Thank you, Kavita, for having me here. I'm really happy to share my journey of Ayurveda and to help people with all the Ayurveda knowledge I have. Thank you.
Wonderful. So my very first question is, how and why did you get into Ayurveda and what made you decide Ayurveda, not allopathy?
Okay, yes. So if I start with my schooling, when I was in year 1, I was in a Sanatan Dharma school. And I studied over 10 years in Sanatan Dharma school. So that school is all based on Vedic culture. So that influenced me very close to the importance of Vedas in life. And then after, when I decided to be a doctor in life, I got to know about Ayurveda. So that is the Vedic way of healing people. Like really, it's not only how to do the chikitsa, it's all about how to live healthy.
So Shweta, and we've discussed this many times before, women's health issues are on the rise. Things like early puberty, early menstruation, early menopause, and endometriosis, PCOD. Why do you think that is so in the modern context today?
Okay, so if we go back to Ayurveda, so we have two famous writers, you can say Acharya, one is Charak and one is Acharya Sushruta. So in both, they have mentioned a lot about women and women health. So when I read those texts in my life, I realized actually the modern age lifestyle is the cause. They have very clearly mentioned do's and don'ts being a woman. And then I think most of us are doing almost all those don'ts and not following the do's. So that is one of the biggest reasons of the rise. And along with, as everybody knows, the poisoning of the food and a lot of pesticides, hormones included in our diet every day. And those, if you see clearly, those all include the hormones which are related to women. So that indirectly or directly is causing early puberty. And then the stress of a woman's life, trying to be best as a mother, as a wife, and working. So that leads to early menopause sometimes.
Perhaps you can tell us from an Ayurvedic perspective, what, like maybe a little bit about doshas and dhatus and in relation to, these kind of ailments.
As per Ayurveda, we have 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. The balance of these doshas is the health. And then imbalance is when we end up with some kind of issues in life. So in a woman's body and in life, there are these 3 doshas predominantly available. So for first 10 or 15 years, it's mostly Kapha time of our life. So at that time, if somehow we do, like as I said, don'ts, so it increases Vata in the body and then it ends up with early puberty. Okay, and once you have puberty, you enter into Pitta time of your life and it remains there for another 30-40 years. So it's almost like your young age. So when we are doing a kind of lifestyle with, for example, fried food, right, and all of these things that aggravate Pitta. So once the Pitta is aggravated, that increases a lot of heat in the body and people end up with acne. They always say, we have hormonal imbalance. Hormones and Pitta is very balanced. So it's Agni. So that's where it aggravates it. And then that leads to a lot of issues related to our 5-day cycle. So it can be painful, it can be heavy. So there are lots of issues which we are creating in imbalancing our Pitta. So that ultimately causes it along with Vata, because Vata is a circulatory vehicle of our body. So whatever
Right.
circulates is vata. For example, even having menstruation, actually vata, apan vayu,
Apan,
is creating it. So when that apan vayu is in imbalance, so it's not able to excrete it clearly. So that is a time when we have pain, or we have overflow, or we have less flow. So all these things happen because of the three doshic imbalance.
That's interesting how you have encapsulated, the early years and then the youth. I want to know in the Shastras, classic Ayurvedic texts, has this been mentioned in any way in terms of women's health issues?
That's true. In Charak Samhita and Sushru Samhita, both we have a lot of uh, issues rated, and there's one special chapter that's on yoni rog. So yoni means uterus and our ovarian, ovaries, fallopian tubes all together. So that's called yoni. So we have over 20 issues, 20 types of diseases mentioned, yoni roga in that, and also how to treat it naturally. So if I compare, there's no word like endometriosis, PCOD and all that, but there are 20 types which we can relate to these modern age issues. So for example, if I say PCOD, it comes under aggravation of vata. So it's like vata yoni. Then there is pitta yoni, there is kapha yoni, there is vat pitta yoni. So these kind of 20 combinations are there. And if I remember, it's almost 70% of all is basically vata predominant.
Yes. In fact, most of our ailments,
Yes, it is.
yeah, of the three doshas, the vata is the one to be most careful about.
Yes. So if you compare PCOD, it's like more vata. So usually if you see people with more vata aggravating lifestyle, they end up with PCOD. So for example, too fast girls, or we are not able to take care during those 5 days, or so whatever vata guna, if you do the same behave, so it aggravates it.
Like attracts like.
Yes, like attracts like. Yeah. So this is how, if we have to balance it, we have to go opposite. So if vata is fast, you have to be a bit more calmer, slower in your not only actions, in your brain too.
Yes. Shweta, what I really want is for you, because I know you have spent a decade or more in working very very in depth in women's issues. So I would love for you to share today with our audience ways and means to effectively, from an Ayurvedic perspective, or using Ayurveda as a modality, to treat some of these diseases, modern terminology, PCOD or dysmenorrhea, etc., from an Ayurvedic modality.
Sure. So yes, Kavita. Actually, I have personally really treated some patients with early ovarian failure, like we call it early menopause, and also early
How
puberty.
old? How old?
Yeah, I have seen patients from early 20s
Early 20s.
to early 40s. Anytime before 45 or 47, if you get the menopause, it's called early menopause. So I have seen, and then actually it's quite scary also to see people having such early menopause. But when we go to our Ayurveda text and we see that, as I said, do's and don'ts, and then when we are not really following it, it's very most likely that people end up, and it's very common now.
So if you can tell us some do's and don'ts that our Shastras mention.
For example, as we say, and as we just mentioned about Vata, right? Vata is a vehicle of the body. So Vata regulates everything in the body. So if we can balance...
It's movement.
Yeah, it's a movement. It's a movement.
And prana, flow of,
It's our breath. Even I'm talking, it's Vata is predominant at this time. So when Vata is vitiated, like imbalanced, because of our causes, for example, stress.
Yes.
So when we overthink, our head is always with wind. So wind is Vata. When we are talking too much,
Yes.
not having any pause.
Zoom calls.
Yes.
Conference calls.
When we are over-occupied, like we want to be really, we know we are Shakti, we have like 8 hands, but we don't need to use all the time, right?
Very well said.
So the idol of the Shakti also stands for a while. It's not that all the time working, right? I need it only. So what today's woman is trying to do is competing with the men. Actually, from my point of view, we don't need to compete.
Yes.
We are already far further.
Well, there are different strengths.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You don't need to compete. You have your own beauty. You're living a beautiful life. So instead of enjoying it, we're trying to prove that, even when we start having puberty, the girls, they would like to run. They would like to overexert.
Athletic performance, yes.
So it's very good. They should do it. It's very good. But few days, if they can rest or eat more nutritive diet during those 5 days. So these are do's and don'ts. So I don't, like in modern society, it's not feasible even to say that, okay, these 5 days you don't move. Like olden days it used to be. But what we can do is we can at least slow down. We can at least eat more ghee.
Yes.
We can have more nourishing, warm food. Avoid cold drinks, ice creams. So there are very basic, small things, but it can make a big change. So I have tried this kind of changes in the lifestyle of my patients, along with very good herbs, which is available in Ayurveda text. So it has brought wonderful results.
That's wonderful to hear, isn't it? That, using solely Ayurvedic modality, you have brought about changes and, helped with something that is so devastating for a woman to be, as you said, ovarian failure at the age of, below 30. So, Shweta, I was thinking today with our audience, we should be sharing some recipes, some herbs that you think that you have used, that you have employed effectively in treating such issues, and some treatments, that you would recommend. And of course, we are not giving medical advice in this forum. You should consult a practitioner, an Ayurvedic practitioner, an Ayurvedic doctor. But we are generally giving you, what's prescribed in the text and the experience of Dr. Shveta. So yeah, if you can share some herbs, some recipes, some treatment, that would be wonderful.
Okay, so yes, Kavita, there are lots of formulations. They have been mentioned in our text, especially for women health. So one of those very famous, one is Ashoka Rish, one of my favorites too. So as you know from the name, it's basically made up of Ashoka bark. And also,
that's a herb. That's an Ayurvedic herb.
That's an Ayurveda herb. It's very good for female reproductive system. And then also it includes jaggery. That's natural iron.
Yes.
And it includes kalonji.
Nigella seeds.
Yeah, and lots of more herbs which is nourishing. So Ashoka Rish, one of the very my favorite one, which we can give to a puberty girl, to a menopause woman. So this can be taken 2 tablespoons, after lunch and then after dinner. So, but sure, our viewers should go for special advice or can personally message us about.
Sure, please. We will be sharing Dr. Shweta's contact details and you can get in touch with her. And I think we'll also link in the recipe for Ashoka. Yeah.
Yes. And also the second one I like the most is Dashmularisht. So as you know, Dashmul means it's made up of 10 type of roots, and these are very nourishing. And in our Ayurveda text, it's mentioned that it should be given to the woman after delivery. Once you deliver, then this Dashmularish gives you the strength back. So you gain all the strength and you're ready for being as you had now a baby. So these 2 are my favorite one, and there are more if you say Ashwagandha Risht. Why Ashwagandha? Because people are having a lot of stress, and as we all know, Ashwagandha is our Indian ginseng. It's more than that, I think. So it's one of my favorite also, as it helps you to release the stress. So if you are a working woman and then you stress a lot, you have a life and work imbalance sometimes. So you can take Ashwagandha Rish at the night. So it's after dinner, and it's very good for good sleep and also rejuvenates and release all the toxins from your brain. And then there is one called Kumari. Grit Kumari.
Yes,
have you heard about Grit Kumari? Right? So Grit Kumari, if you say modern name, is called aloe vera. So aloe vera is very good for the woman who is dealing with painful menstruation. So people do have painful, they do believe that it's too much achy, 2 days, 3 days, they're not able to be normal. So during that time, if even at home, if you have aloe vera, we can have some recipes made at home. For example, making a ghee out of it. So it's like Kumari grit. And then also even the juice of aloe vera, freshly made at home, can be very good to be taken during those 5 days.
Cooling.
Yeah, it's cooling. It's not really cooling. It's more nourishing, and it gives the bondage. But we need a strength to our body to release only the toxins. And so these are my favorite ones. And then after that, yes, we have one very famous one that is called Vasti Karma. So that is where we use some decoctions to infuse inside the uterus. So that is something very specific about Ayurveda. That Ayurveda
so that's like an enema.
Like an enema, but not in anal region.
Correct.
So it's a front enema.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's called Uttar Vasti. And we are basically using mostly, like, I know most of my friends, they also like Bala. So this is like...
Me too. Bala for everything. Bala means strength in Ayurveda.
Yes.
So Sidra cordifolia, yes.
Yes. So Bala is very strengthening. So we use Bala decoction to infuse inside. And also we use Bala oil for outer... massage and some kind of strength. So Bala is one of the most famous for Uttaravasti. And also there's one more Ayurveda formulation. So in modern age we use suppository, right? So they are called Varti. So we have medicated Vartis made related to which dosha predominant in the woman, and then we use it and it gives wonderful results.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, there's such wealth of knowledge in our Ayurvedic textbooks. It's and that's what it's something that I think Ayurveda is finding its place mainstream, and we hope that there's more of this that's going to be shared with people, and people sort of embrace Ayurveda more into their daily lifestyle. And speaking of which, I wanted to come to the topic of Dinacharya, Ritucharya, and perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about that from women's health perspective.
Yes, as I know, Ayurveda is getting quite famous these days, and people are finding a lot on online, websites, learning about Dinacharya, Ritucharya. So this is quite common. But if we say today we are talking about women, so there is some very special charya. Charya means how to behave. What do's and don'ts, as we have been talking. So that is specifically mentioned in Sushrut Samhita. That's the name is Rajswala Charya. So that is like do's and don'ts for a woman to implement during those 5 days, after or before as well. So that gives strength, beauty, and knowledge to Ayurveda texts in relation to women health. So in that it's mentioned that, for example, dates, jaggery, black sesame, specifically black, please, I will say, because I see people use sesame, but they usually go for white ones. But when in Ayurveda texts, whenever we use sesame word, is usually black sesame. So these are very nourishing and vata balancing diet plans. So woman has to follow this kind of diet plan, so that helps. For example, you can have, instead of having normal chai, you can add jaggery in it. So avoid the white sugar.
Winter.
Yes, it's the winter. And then when spring comes, you can start adding little cooling things along with some warm diet. So in Rajswala Charya, it's always mentioned that we have to use more kapha pradhan. So that means more nourishing, and it has to be more like big in quantity, not too less. So we shouldn't be skipping meals, right? So as people want to be fit, it's very good to maintain weight.
Like intermittent fasting, which is such a trend now.
Yeah, so it's not feasible for everybody. So as I will come back on Vata, Pitta, Kapha, every individual is made up of a body type. So once we know the body type, we know what's good for you. For example, for Vata female, if she does intermittent fasting of more than 5 hours, it's actually very bad for her because she aggravates the Vata. But the same thing in a Kapha woman, if she goes for 5 hours or even 6 hours or 8 hours, it's very good for her because she has extra fat. So that's how, in Rajswala Charya, it's mentioned that, you have to focus on the diet and the lifestyle. So that helps in keeping you healthy all over. So it doesn't matter which stage of life you are in puberty, or you are close to menopause, or you are post-menopause. For example, if you say osteoporosis, So that's something coming up
Vata,
very
yeah.
commonly,
Yes.
and then what happens? It becomes porous, right? The bones become porous. So if we see in Sapta Dhatu, so we know that Asti and then comes Maja. So then bone marrow is getting shedded, right? So it's becoming shallow. So at that time, very time, if we start having more Brahan, that means Kapha Pradhan, that helps in boosting it back, and it can be regained. So that's the beauty of Ayurveda.
Wonderful. That was so insightful, and I hope our audience has gotten some tips on what sort of treatments, understanding lifestyle, diet, habits, how Vata's predominance of Vata can cause so many issues. And we'll try and link in the description box some of the recipes and references. And I wanted to come to something very current today: surgery, Shalya. In India, there has been this move to bring Ayurvedic surgery mainstream, and there's been a lot of debate and talk. Allopathic doctors, uh, aren't too happy about it. Uh, I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
Okay, so if we say Shalya Tantra, surgery as such, do you know who is the father of surgery?
Sushruta.
Yes.
If I understand right, I think cesarean section, rhinoplasty, they all come from Sushruta Samhita, right?
Yes.
They have adopted it in modern surgery.
Yes.
So yeah,
So actually, what happened is, over the time of years, thousands of years, the Sahita was distracted. We don't have the enough because the written text at that time. So that's where the Sushruta Sahita was not being practiced by the practitioner that much as much we are practicing medicine, Charak Sahita. But if you go back to surgery, where the surgery originated in by Acharya Sushrut himself, we do have a picture when he's doing eye surgery, and then that is an auspicious picture. There is a society in US, all the surgeons, they do study Sushrut Sahita somewhere. They know the names. Yes.
How interesting.
And there's a society in respect to Sushruta, they call them Sushrut Society of Surgeons. You can search about it.
Right?
Yes, there is.
That's interesting.
And then, therefore, I'm so happy actually that Sushrut, the ways Acharya Sushrut has been doing it, and we have this chance to practice now. So I'm very happy actually. And I myself have assisted, some kind of surgeries back in my college time.
Tell us a little bit more. How
Yeah,
exciting.
so there was a lot done, especially, if you know about hemorrhoids, fistula,
Yes, time them, right?
Yes, so I have done it, Shar Sutra.
Wow.
So I remember making those Shar Sutra myself and then helping the doctor with me, to do all that. It cures, and I have seen patient recovering and never coming back, with the same issue. They're always so happy. Although they have tried the same thing with the allopathics, and it reoccurs. But after Shar Sutra and Adinkaram, it never reoccurred.
Yes, I've heard of doctors doing tooth extractions with no anesthesia, using marma points or using bhanga, I don't know, but it's fascinating times.
Yeah, actually this is the time where more researches will be done.
Yes.
And then we will come up with those lost texts actually. So once that text is out, I think we're ready for it.
Wonderful. And I want to now, we've again talked a lot about this. You, in so many ways, we share this vision in the future of wanting to have an Ayurvedic retreat, an Ayurvedic center, and especially you are very keen on academics and setting up an Ayurvedic academy. So you can tell us your passion about that, and what is your vision? What would you like to be doing in the next 5 years with Ayurveda?
Thank you so much for asking me this question, because yes, this is my dream. I know there are so many centers that are doing very well in Ayurveda all over world. But for me, I really want to have my own retreat, and along with that some academy, in which I wish to teach everyone. It could be a kid, it could be those who want to do a course, to learn how to use effectively Ayurveda in their daily life. It's because Ayurveda has two parts. It's not only the medicine, you know. Actually, the first part is all about good health. So it's
Yes.
so that good health. If you learn, you don't never end up at this stage. So I really wish everybody, come to my academy and learn how to be healthy. How to be just like in yoga. We are
Yes.
learning how to be healthy. So Ayurveda also has a key role in just to be keep good health, and even curing the day-to-day issues with very normal change in diet or using some turmeric, using some ginger, garlic, like that. And then in my retreat center, what I dream of is having all those, traditional therapies.
Yes.
I really want to do all those traditional ones, like no international spas or those like fancy things.
Yes.
Very
Yes. New
traditional.
age. Yes. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like in
Yeah.
yoga, that you're seeing yoga and you're seeing wine yoga and
So
that
this is called a
authenticity.
Yeah, so this is a combination of things. But if you say about Ayurveda, authentic Ayurveda, that has to go through, all from Charak Samhita and Sushru Samhita.
Yes.
There is no other way to go. So I
And
really wish to
Vagbhata,
read,
yes.
Vagbhata, yes, he is one of our favorite too. So we read that text, we see that patient and then we help them the journey. Or even people come just for relaxing, so we just help them detox. So that detox will be very based on
Very
Ayurveda
pure
text.
Ayurveda,
Yeah,
yes,
not
yes.
a modern spa going for holidays,
Yeah.
It's more like real detox for lifetime.
And where, if you could choose, where would that place be?
Okay, so at this moment, as I belong to India, so for sure I would like to go either for Himachal or Uttarakhand. Both are my favorite
Uttarakhand
places.
as well.
Yeah, both are my favorite places.
Himachal.
Yes, so you can have a look of Uttarakhand also. It's beautiful. So because it's a baseline of Himalayas, so it has all the. So I love both places. So let's see where
Yes.
things will be.
Well, wishing you all the luck with that, and I'm
Thank
sure that's going to happen very soon because I can see that in your eyes, and I have the same dream and vision. So, yeah, I know,
We will
I
do
know.
together.
The universe, yes, the universe will materialize this. No, it's been so wonderful, so wonderful. I don't want this chat to end. We could be talking for hours and hours
Yeah.
on everything Ayurveda and health. So it's been wonderful having you, and I hope you've enjoyed this session. We'll be coming up with more of such sessions. And anything else you'd like to share with us before we go?
Yes, I would like to say all our viewers that please try to read more about Ayurveda. It's a wonderful life science. It helps you to keep healthy. You never get disease if you follow Ayurveda correctly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavita.
And thank you, guys.